In the blood-soaked annals of Targaryen history, one name strikes fear like no other. A name whispered in the darkness of King's Landing. A name that made grown men tremble and dragons scream. Aemond Targaryen, the One Eye, the Kinslayer, the deadliest warrior who ever lived. A 10-year-old boy stands before the largest dragon ever ridden, trembling but defiant. One moment of courage that would change the world forever. Now see him years later, black armor gleaming, a sapphire burning where his eyes should be, raining fire upon entire kingdoms from Dragonback. But here's what they don't tell you in the songs. Here's the secret that maesters whisper behind closed doors. This monster, this Kinslayer who burned thousands, who brought the Targaryen dynasty to its knees, who fought the most legendary dragon battle in history above the dark waters of God's Eye, this terrifying prince who made even his own family fear him. He started as a victim, a bullied child, a boy without a dragon, mocked and humiliated, who lost his eye in a brutal act of violence when he was only 10 years old. What transforms a brilliant young prince into history's most feared Kinslayer? What drives a boy who once cried in the dragon pit to become a man who burns villages without mercy? And why, on that storm-racked day above the God's Eye, did the two deadliest warriors in Westeros lock their dragons in a death embrace and plummet together into waters that never give up their dead? Tonight we uncover the complete, unvarnished truth of Aemond One Eye. His story is one of tragedy, vengeance, and the terrible price of power. From the humiliation that scarred his childhood to the sapphire that replaced his eye. From the moment he claimed the greatest dragon in the world to the day he fell from the sky, locked in mortal combat. So before we begin this journey into fire and blood, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy deep dives into Targaryen history. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now dim the lights, maybe grab a warm drink, get comfortable under your blanket, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. This is the story of the deadliest Targaryen who ever lived. The sapphire gleams, the dragon screams. Let's begin. The year is 110 after conquest. In the Red Keep of King's Landing, Queen Alicent Hightower gives birth to her third child. The boy arrives early, premature and underweight. The maesters worry he might not survive the night. He's half the size his older brother Aegon was at birth. But there's something different about this child, something fierce. The baby doesn't cry weakly like most premature infants. He screams, loud and defiant, as if already angry at the world. They name him Aemond. The Red Keep during these years pulses with tension. King Viserys I, already in declining health, had named his daughter Rhaenyra as heir years before. But now he has sons, legitimate sons born of his second marriage to Alicent. The court splits into factions, the Greens supporting Alicent's children, the Blacks loyal to Princess Rhaenyra. Every dinner, every council meeting, every family gathering crackles with unspoken rivalry. Young Aemond grows up in this poisonous atmosphere. His older brother Aegon, born 3 years earlier, is a disappointment. Lazy, prone to drink even as a child, interested only in pleasure. His sister Helena, born a year before Aemond, is gentle and strange, fascinated by insects, and prone to cryptic prophetic utterances that no one understands. His younger brother Daeron will be sent away to Oldtown as a ward when he's still very young. But Aemond is different. From his earliest years, he's studious, ambitious, hungry to prove himself. He trains obsessively in the yard. He learns High Valyrian faster than his siblings. He studies history and philosophy with the maesters, while Aegon sneaks off to the Street of Silk. The boy is brilliant, disciplined, everything a prince should be. Except for one terrible, shameful thing. Aemond has no dragon. In House Targaryen, having a dragon isn't just tradition, it's identity. It's proof of your blood, your power, your right to rule. Dragon eggs are placed in cradles with newborn Targaryen children, bonding with them from birth. But Aemond's egg never hatched. It sat cold and dead in his cradle, mocking him. His brother Aegon has Sunfire, a magnificent golden dragon. Even Rhaenyra's sons, those strong boys whose parentage everyone whispers about, they have dragons. Gorkheres rides Vermax. Rhaenyra rides Arax. Even children younger than Aemond have bonded with dragons while he remains grounded, earthbound, less than a true Targaryen. The shame burns inside him like acid. Every time he sees another child riding through the sky, every time he hears the roar of dragons from the pit, every time someone mentions dragon riders in his presence, the wound deepens. His mother Alicent tries to comfort him. His father Viserys suggests he'll bond with a dragon eventually, but their words feel empty. The other children sense his weakness like sharks sense blood, and children, especially royal children, raised in a nest of vipers can be infinitely cruel. It starts as whispers, snickering behind his back in the training yard, smirks during dinner. Then one day his brother Aegon approaches him with an excited expression. He's maybe 8 years old at this point. Aegon is 11. Brother Aegon says, barely containing his laughter, "We have a surprise for you. In the dragon pit, come quickly." Aemond's heart leaps. Could it be? Has a dragon finally chosen him? He runs, actually runs through the Red Keep, his small legs carrying him as fast as they can. Aegon leads the way, along with Jacaerys and Lucerys, Rhaenyra's sons. The boys are trying not to laugh. They enter the great dome of the dragon pit. The air smells of sulfur and dragon musk. The keeper's torches cast flickering shadows on the ancient stone walls, and there, in the center of the pit, is his dragon. Except it's not a dragon. It's a pig. A common farm pig, squealing and confused. Someone has tied crude cloth wings to its sides and painted it pink. The boys burst into laughter. Behold, Aegon announces with mock grandeur, the pink dread. The only dragon you'll ever ride, little brother. Jacaerys and Lucerys double over with laughter. Other children who've gathered to watch join in. The sound echoes through the pit, amplified by the ancient stone, mocking, cruel, endless. Aemond stands frozen. His face burns. He wants to cry, but he won't give them the satisfaction. His small fists clench at his sides. The pig oinks again, oblivious to the humiliation it represents. He doesn't say a word. He just stares at them. At Aegon, his own brother, at Lucerys especially, that smug little strong bastard, laughing the loudest. He stares with eyes that promise something terrible, something that will take 9 years to arrive. Then he turns and walks away, not running, walking, with as much dignity as an 8-year-old boy can muster when his heart is breaking. That night, alone in his chambers, Aemond makes a vow, a silent promise to himself and to the gods, old and new. I will have a dragon, and it will be the greatest dragon in the world. They will never laugh at me again. He has no idea how much that vow will cost. Not just him, but thousands, entire kingdoms, the Targaryen dynasty itself. But right now, he's just a humiliated boy, burning with shame and rage, staring out his window at the night sky where dragons fly and he cannot, not yet. The year is 120. After conquest, Aemond is now 10 years old, still dragonless, still carrying the weight of every mockery like stones in his chest. 2 years have passed since the pink dread, and the memory hasn't faded. If anything, it's crystallized into something harder, something colder. Then comes the raven, black wings from Driftmark, carrying news that changes everything. Lyanna Velaryon is dead. Daemon Targaryen's wife, drowned in trying to reach her dragon during a difficult childbirth. The entire court will travel to Driftmark for her funeral. All the great houses gathering to pay respects to House Velaryon, the wealthiest family in the Seven Kingdoms after the Targaryens themselves. But Aemond barely registers the tragedy. His mind fixes on one detail, one crucial, magnificent detail. Lyanna Velaryon was the rider of Vhagar, and now Vhagar has no rider. The journey to Driftmark takes 2 days by ship. Aemond spends most of it on deck, staring at the horizon, his mind racing. He knows the stories. Everyone knows the stories. Vhagar is legend, made flesh. The last surviving dragon from Aegon's conquest, 180 years old, she carried Queen Visenya Targaryen across Westeros when the Seven Kingdoms were forged in fire. She burned Harrenhal. She helped conquer Dorne. She's seen more battles than any living creature. And she's massive, not just large, not merely big, massive in a way that makes other dragons look like hatchlings. Her skull alone is the size of a hay cart. Each of her teeth as long as a man's arm, wings that can blot out the sun, bronze-green scales that have turned dark with age, each one the size of a dinner plate. Most dragons ridden today are young, maybe 50 or 60 years old at most. Sunfire is beautiful but small. Meleys is fast but aging. Caraxes is battle-tested but lean. But Vhagar is power itself, the oldest, the largest, the most fearsome dragon still living in the world. And she's riderless. The thought consumes him. During the funeral, while others weep and pray, Aemond's eyes keep drifting to the massive bronze shape on the beach. Vhagar has come to mourn her rider in her own way, lying still as a mountain, her breathing slow and deep like forged bellows. He watches Daemon's daughters, little Balela and Rhaena, twins barely 4 years old. They keep glancing at Vhagar too, their mother's dragon. By rights of blood, one of them should claim her, but they're so young, so small, surely they won't try. Not yet. He watches Jacaerys and Lucerys, those strong boys with their dark hair that matches no Targaryen or Velaryon. They whisper and point. Are they thinking the same thing? The funeral passes in a blur of words he doesn't hear. Laena's body committed to the sea in the way of House Velaryon, nobles offering condolences. His father Viserys looking frailer than ever, needing support just to stand. His mother Alicent's face tight with barely concealed tension every time she looks at Rhaenyra. Night falls on Driftmark. The castle settles into uneasy sleep. All these rival factions under one roof, the air thick with unspoken accusations and old grudges. Aemond lies in his bed, staring at the ceiling, his heart hammering. Everyone else is asleep. The guards are light tonight, most of them drunk on funeral wine. Outside on the beach, Vhagar sleeps. This is his chance, his only chance. If he waits until morning, the adults will stop him. They'll say he's too young, too small, that it's disrespectful to try so soon after Lyanna's death. Or worse, they'll let one of the twins try first, and if a dragon bonds with someone else, that's it. That dragon is taken forever. No, it has to be tonight. It has to be now. He slips from his bed, still wearing his day clothes. No armor, no weapons, nothing that might make noise, just a small boy in the darkness, moving like a shadow through the corridors of high tide. His bare feet make no sound on the cold stone. The guards at the main entrance are drowsy, half asleep at their posts. He takes a side door, one the servants use, out into the salt wind and starlight. The beach stretches before him, dark sand and darker water, and there, 100 yards away, Vhagar. Even lying down, even curled in sleep, she's enormous, a mountain of bronze scales, each breath a sound like distant thunder. Her tail alone is longer than most dragons are from head to tail. One of her legs is thicker than an ancient oak tree. Aemond's courage almost fails him. He's 10 years old. She could eat him without even noticing. One snap of those jaws, one burst of dragon fire, and he'd be nothing but ash and memory. But the alternative is worse. The alternative is a lifetime of being the dragonless prince, of mockery, of shame, of being less than a true Targaryen. He takes a step forward, then another. His legs are shaking, but he doesn't stop. The closer he gets, the more impossible she seems. How did anyone ever ride something this size? The saddle is so high up, it might as well be on top of a tower. There's a rope ladder hanging from it, swaying slightly in the wind, but even reaching it means getting close enough to touch her. Close enough for her to kill him without effort. 20 feet away now, he can smell her. Sulfur and smoke, salt and something ancient, something that reminds him of the deep places under mountains. Her scales catch the moonlight, each one like a shield. 10 feet, her breathing is so deep, it moves the air around him, in and out, regular as waves. 5 feet, he can see the scars on those scales. Claw marks from dragon fights decades before he was born. Burn marks from dragon fire that would have killed any lesser beast. This dragon has been to war more times than most knights have been to tournament. He reaches out, his small pale hand almost comically tiny against her flank. He touches one scale. It's warm, rough, solid as stone. Vhagar's eye opens. Just one eye. Massive, reptilian, ancient beyond measure. It swivels to look at him. A golden iris slit by a black pupil that could swallow him whole. There is intelligence in that eye. Alien intelligence, dragon thoughts that no human could fully understand. But intelligence nonetheless. She sees him, this small boy shaking with fear and determination, his hand on her scales. For a long moment, neither moves. Aemond can't breathe, can't think, can barely stand. If she wants him dead, he's dead. Simple as that. Then Vhagar shifts, just slightly. But it's enough to make the rope ladder swing toward him. Is that permission? Is that invitation? Or is she just adjusting her position in sleep? He doesn't know. But he grabs the ladder anyway. The rope is rough in his hands, old, salt-stained but strong. He pulls himself up. 1 rung, 2, 3. His arms burn with effort. He's climbed ropes before in training. But this is different. This is real. This is everything. Vhagar doesn't move, just watches him with that one ancient eye. 10 rungs, 20. His hands are raw now, bleeding slightly. But he doesn't stop, can't stop. 30 rungs. The ground is so far below now that a fall would kill him. Finally gasping, he pulls himself onto the saddle. It's massive, built for full-grown riders, and he's just a child. But he's here. He's actually here, on Vhagar's back. Now comes the true test. He has to command her, has to make the bond. If he fails, she might simply stand up and let him fall, or worse. He opens his mouth. His voice comes out smaller than he'd like, cracking slightly with fear and puberty both. But the words are High Valyrian, perfectly pronounced. The ancient language of dragon lords. Duharaz Vhagar. Serve Vhagar. Nothing happens. She doesn't move. That eye still watching him. He tries again. Louder, putting all his will into it, all his desperation, all his pride and shame and burning need. Doharaz, Vhagar, Gedar, calm, Sulvers, fly. Vhagar stands up. The world tilts. Aemond clutches the saddle horn, his knuckles white. certain he's about to slide off and die. But the straps catch him. He manages to hook his legs through to grab hold properly. She's standing now, fully upright. Her head rises and rises, 50 feet off the ground, 60 higher. He's higher now than he's ever been without being in a tower. The castle of high tide looks small from here. She spreads her wings. The sound is like a great sail unfurling in a storm. Those wings blot out half the sky. Moonlight shines through the thinner membranes between the bones, making them glow like stained glass. Then she roars, a sound that shakes his bones, that echoes across the island, that probably wakes everyone in the castle. A sound of power, of dominance, of ancient fury that will not be denied. And she runs, actually runs, her massive legs pounding the sand, building speed, faster, faster. Aemond can barely hold on. The wind tears at his hair, his clothes. He's screaming but can't hear his own voice over the thunder of her movement. Then the ground drops away. They're flying. Terror and joy crash through him in equal measure. They're rising, soaring over the black water, over the beach, over the castle. The world spreads out below like a map. He can see everything, the whole island, the ships in the harbor, the dark shape of the ocean stretching to infinity. Far banks, turning in a wide circle, and he feels the bond snap into place. That mystical connection that ties dragon to rider, that makes two beings move as one. He can feel her emotions now. Ancient satisfaction, testing completed. This small human has courage. He will do. She's chosen him, or he's chosen her, or perhaps the gods chose both of them for each other. Aemond Targaryen, who 10 minutes ago was dragonless, is now the rider of the most powerful dragon in the world. He laughs, actually laughs, wild and free, and slightly hysterical. They climb higher, higher, until the air is thin and cold, until Driftmark looks like a toy below. The stars seem close enough to touch. For the first time in his life, Aemond feels complete. This is what he was meant for. This is what he was born to be. They circle the island once more, lower this time, low enough that anyone awake will see clearly, will know, will understand that everything has changed. The dragonless prince is dragonless no more. But as they descend back toward the beach, as the adrenaline begins to fade and reality sets in, Aemond has no idea what he's just set in motion. No idea that this triumph will cost him dearly before the night is over. No idea that 4 other children are awake now, watching from their windows, and they are very, very angry. Vhagar lands on the beach with an impact that sends sand spraying in all directions. Aemond slides down the rope ladder, his hands shaking, his legs barely able to hold him. He's exhausted but exhilarated. The greatest moment of his life. He's done it. He's actually done it. The castle is lit up now. People awake, voices calling out in alarm. That roar woke everyone for miles. Good. Let them know. Let them all know that Aemond Targaryen has claimed Vhagar. He's walking back toward the castle, still grinning, still high on triumph, when 2 small figures step out of the darkness ahead of him. Baedila and Rhaena Velaryon, 4-year-old twins, their faces streaked with tears and fury. Daemon's daughters, Lyanna's daughters. "You stole our mother's dragon," Rhaena says. Her voice is small but shaking with rage. And Aemond stops. The euphoria wavers slightly. These are just little girls. He towers over them, and he's only 10 himself. But there's something in their eyes that makes him defensive. "Your mother's dead," he says. The words come out colder than he means them. Vhagar was free to be claimed. She was ours. Baedila shouts, and suddenly she's rushing at him, small fists swinging. He sidesteps easily, his training kicking in. She stumbles past him, and he actually laughs. Not cruelly, just startled by the absurdity. These tiny children think they can fight him. "It was my right," he says. "Your mother's gone." Vigar needed a new rider, someone strong enough to claim her. Rhaena joins her sister now, both of them coming at him. He pushes Rhaena back, not hard, just enough to keep her away. She falls in the sand. That's when Jacaerys and Lucerys arrive. Rhaenyra's sons running down from the castle, drawn by the commotion. Jacaerys is maybe 6 years old, Luke only 5, both with that dark hair that proves what everyone whispers but dare not say aloud. "What's happening?" Jace demands, taking in the scene, his cousins on the ground, Aemond standing over them. "He stole Viego," Baela says, scrambling to her feet. "He stole our mother's dragon." Now Aemond's temper flares. He's been riding the high of claiming Viger, but these accusations, this entitlement from strong bastards and their cousins, it ignites something in him. "She was mine to claim," he says flatly. "Maybe your mother should have had stronger daughters, daughters who could have claimed her." Baela screams and launches herself at him again. This time Rhaena comes too, and now Jace is running forward, and Luke behind him. 4 against 1. Aemond is bigger than all of them combined. He's been training with Sarah Kristen Cole for years now, practicing sword work, practicing hand-to-hand combat. These are little children, babies practically. He grabs Rhaena, shoves her aside, catches Baela's wrist as she tries to hit him. Jace tackles his legs, and he kicks free. It's almost comical. 4 small children swarming him like angry kittens. But then Jace gets his arms around Aemond's waist from behind. Baela grabs his arm. Luke jumps on his back. Rhaena is pulling at his other arm. The weight, the sheer number of them, makes him stagger. He throws Luke off. The boy hits the sand hard, starts crying. Good, maybe they'll learn. "Get off me," he snarls, shaking Baela loose, but Jace is still clinging to him, surprisingly strong for such a small boy. Aemond reaches down, grabs Jace by the hair, yanks him off. Jace yelps in pain. Aemond throws him down, stands over him, breathing hard. And then the words that have been building in him for years, the words everyone thinks but no one dares say, they finally come out. "You will die screaming in flames just as your father did," he says, looking down at Jace. "My father's not dead," Jace says, confused, frightened. Aemond laughs. It's not a kind laugh. He's 10 years old, and he sounds ancient, bitter beyond his years. "I'm not talking about Lord Laenor. I'm talking about your real father, Sir Harwin Strong. You and your brother are bastards. Strong boys. That's what they call you. Everyone knows it." The word hangs in the air. Bastards. The worst insult that can be leveled at a prince. The truth. Everyone whispers and no one says. Jacaerys' face goes white with rage. He scrambles up and rushes at Aemond again. But Aemond is ready now, his training taking over. He catches Jace, spins him around, gets him in a hold. The little boy is flailing, helpless. Luke is back on his feet now, crying, terrified. But he sees his brother struggling. He looks around desperately for something, anything. There, in the sand, a rock, large and jagged. He picks it up with both hands, staggers toward Aemond. Aemond sees him coming, releases Jace and backhands Luke across the face. The little boy goes down, the rock flying from his hands. He's crying harder now, holding his face. But the distraction gives Jace time to recover. He scrambles in the sand, finds another rock bigger than the one Luke had, heavy enough to hurt, heavy enough to kill if swung right. Aemond turns back to Jace, just as the boy swings. The rock catches him on the shoulder, Pain explodes through his arm. He stumbles, and suddenly, all 4 children are on him again. This time he's angry. Really angry. No more playing. He grabs Jace by the throat, lifts him actually off the ground. The little boy's eyes go wide, choking, his legs kicking uselessly in the air. Aemond raises the rock Jace dropped, holds it high above his head, positions it directly over Jace's face. "You," he pants, his voice venomous. "You and your brother will die screaming in flames. You're bastards, strong bastards. And everyone knows it. He's going to do it. He can feel it. The rage, the years of mockery, the pink dread, all of it focused into this moment. He wants to hurt them, wants them to feel what he felt." Then something slams into his side. Lucerys, tiny Lucerys, has found something else, not a rock this time. A dagger. Some knife, one of the adults dropped, or a training blade, or maybe just a dinner knife. It doesn't matter. What matters is that Luke has it in his small hand, and he's swinging it wildly, desperately, trying to protect his brother. "Get away from him," Luke screams, tears streaming down his face. "Get away." Aemond drops Jace, turns toward Luke. The little boy is holding the knife out, shaking so hard he can barely grip it. 5 years old and terrified and brave in the stupid way small children are brave. "What are you going to do with that?" Aemond sneers, taking a step toward him. "Stab me, you little bastard." Luke swings, a desperate, wild, uncontrolled swing. He's not trying to kill. He probably doesn't even know how to kill. He's just trying to make Aemond go away, trying to protect Jace's too scared to think. The blade catches Aemond across the face. There's a moment where Aemond doesn't understand what's happened, a moment of confusion, then pain, unbelievable, searing pain that explodes across the left side of his face. His eye, something's wrong with his eye. He touches his face and his hand comes away red, so much red, and there's something dangling, something wet and terrible that used to be inside his skull. He's screaming. He doesn't realize it at first, but he's screaming, hands clutched to his face, blood pouring between his fingers, hot and sticky and wrong, so much blood. His eye is gone. The children scatter, Luke dropping the dagger like it burned him. They're all screaming now too, high-pitched voices of panic carrying across the beach. Guards come running, adults pouring out of the castle, voices shouting, overlapping, chaos. Someone catches an Aemond as he collapses. Strong hands. A guard, maybe, or a maester. He can't see properly. His remaining eye is blurred with pain, tears, and blood. Someone screaming his name. His mother. He can hear Alicent's voice, shrill with terror. My son, what have they done to my son?" The maester is there now, pushing everyone back. Let me see. Gentle hands prying Aemond's own hands away from his face. The maester's expression tells him everything. Grim, horrified, pitying. "The eye is gone, Your Grace," the maester says quietly to someone, "destroyed completely. I cannot save it." Aemond is shaking, in shock, the maester will say later. But it's more than shock. It's the realization crashing over him in waves. His eye is gone, cut out by a 5-year-old with a dinner knife. The same little bastard who laughed at the pink dread. People are arguing now. Loud voices. His father Viserys has arrived, demanding to know what happened. Rhaenyra is there, gathering her sons protectively. Daemon watches from a distance, unreadable. The children are all talking at once. He attacked us, he called them bastards, he was going to kill Jace. It was an accident, he stole Vhagar, he said horrible things. Viserys looks between his children and grandchildren, his face ancient and tired. How did this happen? He demands. Why were you fighting? Aemond is barely listening. The monster is working on his face now, threading a needle. No milk of the poppy yet. The pain is beyond anything he's imagined. He took Viga, someone says. Balela, maybe, or Rayena. Viserys sighs deeply. That is a great wonder, he says, and a brave thing, but it has cost you dearly. Alicent is crying, fury and fear mixed together. Look what they've done, she says. Look at my son. I want justice. And what justice would you have? Viserys asks wearily. He called the boys bastards. Rhaenyra says quickly, redirecting. In front of witnesses, where did he hear such slander? Viserys' face hardens. He looks at Aemond, then at Aegon, who's lurking in the back of the crowd. Who told you these lies? He demands. Aemond, teeth gritted against the pain, says nothing. But Aegon, nervous under his father's glare, blurts out the truth. It's not a lie, father. Everyone knows. Look at them. They're Strongs, not Valyrians. The silence that follows is deadly. Viserys' face goes purple with rage. I will have no more of this, he roars. You will all make peace. Now, tonight. Or I will remove tongues myself. But Alicent isn't done. She's looking at Lucerys, at the knife still lying in the sand covered in her son's blood. An eye for an eye, she says. He took my son's eye. Take one of his. Mother, no. Rhaenyra steps between Alicent and her children. Viserys shakes his head. I will not have more bloodshed. The matter is finished. But Alicent is beyond reason now. Years of resentment, of watching Rhaenyra get away with everything, of her children being treated as less than, it all boils over. She grabs Viserys' dagger from his belt. Before anyone can stop her, she's lunging toward Lucerys. The little boy screams. Rhaenyra throws herself in the way, and the blade slashes across Rhaenyra's forearm instead. Blood again. More blood. Guards pulling Alicent back. Chaos. And through it all, Aemond watches with his one remaining eye, watches his mother lose control, watches his father choose Rhaenyra even now, watches Lucerys crying, terrified, guilty. The maester is stitching his face closed. Each pull of the thread is agony. But Aemond doesn't make a sound. 10 years old, and he's silent as stone, letting the maester work. Finally, his mother breaks free from the guards, drops to her knees beside him. My boy, she weeps. My sweet boy, I'm so sorry. And that's when Aemond speaks. His voice is steady, clear, cold, the voice of someone much older. Do not mourn me, mother. It was a fair exchange. I may have lost an eye, but I gained a dragon. The entire hall goes silent. Even Viserys stares at his 10-year-old son in something like awe or horror. Aemond looks at Lucerys with his one good eye. The little boy shrinks back, terrified. That look promises something. A debt, a reckoning, not today, not tomorrow, but someday, that 5-year-old boy will answer for what he's done. Aemond doesn't know it yet, but that debt will take 9 years to collect, and when it comes due, it will start a war that destroys his family, kills thousands, and ends the age of dragons forever. But right now, he's just a 10-year-old boy with a sapphire socket where his eye used to be, claiming his pain was worth it for power. And perhaps believing it. 3 weeks after Driftmark, a jeweler in King's Landing receives the most unusual commission of his career. Queen Alicent Hightower wants a gemstone fitted into her son's empty eye socket. Not a glass eye, not a patch with a fake painted iris. A gemstone, something beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. The jeweler presents several options. Rubies for Targaryen red, black onyx for mystery. Even a diamond, though that seems too ostentatious. But when Aemond sees the sapphire, he knows immediately. Blue as deep water, blue as the coldest winter ice, blue as dragon fire at its hottest. That one, he says. The fitting is painful, the socket still tender, still healing. But Aemond doesn't flinch as the jeweler carefully shapes the stone, sets it, ensures it won't fall out. When it's done, he looks at himself in the polished silver mirror. The sapphire gleams in the dim light, otherworldly and strange. He looks older now, harder, the scar running from his eyebrow to his cheek, angry red at first, will fade to silver over time. But the eye, that brilliant blue stone, that will never change. Some people will find it beautiful, others will find it monstrous. Aemond finds it perfect. He's 10 years old, and he's already learned the most important lesson of his life. Pain can be transformed into power, weakness can become strength, and every scar tells a story. The next 9 years will be about writing the rest of that story. Sir Criston Cole finds him in the training yard 3 days after the sapphire is fitted. The knight watches as Aemond practices forms with a wooden sword, his movements slower than usual, favoring his left side, where his depth perception is now gone. "You're compensating wrong," Cole says, stepping into the yard. "May I?" Aemond nods, grateful. Cole is one of the few people in King's Landing who doesn't look at him with pity. The knight sees only what the boy could become. "You've lost your left eye," Cole explains, circling him. "That means your left side is vulnerable. Most fighters would try to protect it, keep it away from opponents. That's a mistake." "Why?" Aemond asks. "Because you're telling your enemy where you're weak. Better to train yourself to anticipate from the left, even better than you see from the right. Make your weakness impossible to exploit." Over the following months, Cole drills this into him, relentlessly, hours each day in the yard. Aemond learns to pivot constantly, keeping his good eye moving, scanning. He practices against multiple opponents at once, forcing himself to track movement he can't quite see. He trains blindfolded sometimes, learning to hear the whistle of a blade through air, the scrape of a foot on stone. It's brutal, frustrating. He takes hits he would have dodged before, bruises layering on bruises, but slowly, painfully, he adapts. By the time he's 12, he's beating boys twice his age. By 14, he's giving Criston Cole himself a real fight. By 16, he's winning more often than losing. The loss of the eye hasn't weakened him. It's made him better, more focused, more aware, more dangerous. But it's not just the physical training that shapes him during these years. There's the flying too. Every few days, when duties allow, Aemond takes Vhagar out over Blackwater Bay. At first, it's practice, learning her rhythms, her moods, how to command a dragon who's been alive longer than his grandfather's grandfather. Vhagar is not some young, eager dragon excited by a new rider. She's ancient, patient, slow to rouse but devastating when roused. He learns that she dislikes being rushed, that she prefers to fly at dawn or dusk, not in the heat of midday, that she'll ignore commands given in frustration, but responds to calm, clear direction, that she has favorite hunting grounds and patterns ingrained over 18 decades. They fly to Dragonstone, sometimes not landing, just circling the island fortress where Rhaenyra holds court. A reminder, a promise. I have not forgotten. Vhagar's shadow falls across the castle like a prophecy, and Aemond wonders if Lucerys sees it from below, wonders if the boy remembers the eye he took. By 15, Aemond and Vhagar move as one. By 17, they're the most formidable dragon and rider combination in the 7 kingdoms. Not the fastest, Melis is faster. Not the most aggressive, Caraxes is meaner, but the most powerful, size and skill combined. An unstoppable force. Aegon has Sunfire, beautiful but lazy, a dragon for parades and feasts. Aemond has Vhagar, a dragon for war. The difference between the brothers becomes more stark with each passing year. Aegon drinks, whores his way through King's Landing, shows up to council meetings hungover if he shows up at all. He fathers bastards on serving girls and pretends his wife Helena doesn't exist, except when duty demands an heir. Aemond studies, trains, learns. He reads every book in the Red Keep about Targaryen history, about the conquest, about dragon warfare. He learns strategy from the maesters, politics from his grandfather Otto, ruthlessness from watching his mother navigate the viper's nest of court. He never drinks to excess, never loses control, every action calculated, every word measured. He molds himself into exactly what Aegon is not, the spare that should have been the heir. The resentment grows quietly, never spoken, but always present. When people compare them, when they see Aegon stumbling drunk and Agamemnon standing straight-backed and clear-eyed, the unspoken question hangs in the air. Why him and not this one? But Aemond never says it aloud. He's dutiful, loyal, the perfect second son. He supports Aegon publicly, defers to him, never challenges him directly. Privately, in his chambers at night, he wonders. He's smarter, stronger, more disciplined, a better warrior, a better dragon rider. He's everything a Targaryen prince should be, and Aegon is everything a Targaryen prince should not be. But the gods or fate or simple biology made Aegon first, made Aegon heir, made Aegon the one who will wear the crown if their father dies. The injustice of it burns, but Aemond has learned to transform burning into fuel. His mother sees it. Alicent watches her second son become the warrior. Her first should have been, and there's pride there mixed with something else. Fear, perhaps, or guilt. She pushed Aegon toward the throne, but she made Aemond into a weapon, and weapons are dangerous, even to those who wield them. His father barely sees him at all. Viserys, rotting from some slow disease the maesters can't cure, focuses what little attention he has left on keeping peace between his daughter and his second wife. He praises Rhaenyra's sons lavishly, makes excuses for Aegon's failures, but Aemond is simply expected to do his duty without complaint or recognition. It breeds a particular kind of coldness. Not the hot rage of youth, but something colder, more patient. Aemond learns to bury his resentments deep, to smile when expected, to bow when appropriate, to play the role of dutiful son and loyal brother. But every time he passes a mirror and sees that sapphire gleaming, he remembers. Every time there's a feast and Lucerys is there, grown now but still that same boy underneath, the debt feels heavier. Every time Rhaenyra's bastards are paraded as legitimate princes while he stands in the background, the injustice compounds. He sees Lucerys at court occasionally. The boy, now a young man of 14-15, avoids him. Won't meet his eye. The one remaining eye. There's guilt there. Aemond can see it. Good. Let him feel guilty. Let him lie awake at night, wondering when payment will come due. But it's not just about vengeance. That's what people will say later, that Aemond was consumed by revenge. But it's more complicated than that. He genuinely believes in his family's cause, believes that Aegon, for all his flaws, is the rightful heir, believes that Rhaenyra's sons are bastards, and bastards cannot inherit the Iron Throne, believes in the law, in tradition, in order. His mother's beliefs have become his beliefs. Or perhaps they were always his beliefs, and his mother simply gave them voice. Either way, by the time he's 18-19, Aemond is a true believer in the green cause, not just fighting for his family, but fighting for what he sees as right and just. The realm needs order, needs strength, needs someone who will do what must be done without flinching. He's ready to be that someone. The years pass. The Cerys grows sicker. The factions harden. Green and black, two sides of the same family, pulling further and further apart. Small council meetings become battles of words. Feasts become exercises in forced civility. The whole court holds its breath, waiting for the old king to finally die. And Aemond trains, flies, studies, hardens himself into something that will not break when the storm finally comes. By 129 after conquest, when he's 19 years old, Aemond Targaryen has transformed completely from that bullied, dragonless boy. He's tall now, lean and dangerous as a blade. His silver hair falls straight to his shoulders. The sapphire in his eye socket has become his signature, a thing of beauty and horror that people can't look away from. He wears an eye patch in court, black leather to spare the noble ladies his scars. But in private, in the training yard, when riding Vhagar, he leaves it off. Let them see what was taken. Let them see what was gained. He's become perhaps the finest swordsman in the Seven Kingdoms. Sir Criston Cole says he's never seen anyone adapt to a handicap so completely, so effectively. The lack of depth perception that should cripple him in combat has instead made him hyper-aware, constantly moving, impossible to pin down. And he has Vhagar, the largest, oldest, most powerful dragon alive. Together, they're a force that even Daemon Targaryen on Caraxes would hesitate to face. Now Aemond knows what people say about him. One Eye, the fierce. Some call him cold, humorless, severe. They're not entirely wrong. He is those things, but he's also loyal, dutiful, brilliant. Everything his brother is not. He's ready for war, has been ready for years. The question is not if war will come, but when. And whether when it finally arrives, he'll be able to control the violence he spent 9 years perfecting. Whether the weapon his mother made will serve its purpose, or whether it will cut everyone who tries to wield it. The sapphire gleams, the dragon waits, the debt grows heavier with each passing day. And in the 3rd month of 129, after conquest, King Viserys I draws his last diseased breath, and everything Aemond has been preparing for finally begins. The storm is here, and Aemond Targaryen, the boy who lost an eye but gained a dragon, is about to show the realm exactly what that exchange has made him. A warrior without equal, a dragon rider without peer, and something darker, something he doesn't fully recognize yet. A kinslayer waiting to be born. The 3rd day of the 3rd month, 129, after conquest, King Viserys I dies in his sleep. By the time the sun rises, half of King's Landing already knows, not because anyone announced it, because Otto Hightower, Hand of the King, has been preparing for this moment for years. The machinery of conspiracy moves with practiced efficiency. Servants are confined to quarters. Guards loyal to Rhaenyra are quietly arrested or reassigned. The gates of the Red keep close. No ravens fly, no ships leave the harbor. King's Landing becomes a sealed box, and inside that box the Greens move quickly. Aemond wakes to his mother shaking his shoulder. Her face is pale, resolved, frightened and determined in equal measure. "Your father is dead," Alicent says simply. The council meets within the hour. Dress quickly. He doesn't ask questions, doesn't need to. They've all known this day was coming, have been planning for it, preparing for it, dreading it. Now it's here. The small council chamber is already full when he arrives. Otto Hightower, at the head of the table, looking grimly satisfied. Lord Jasper Wilde, the Master of Laws, Grand Maester Orwyle, Sir Criston Cole, Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, Alicent, the Queen Dowager now, though the title is barely an hour old, and conspicuously absent, Rhaenyra, Daemon. Anyone loyal to the woman Viserys named his heir 24 years ago. Otto doesn't waste time with pleasantries or grief. Viserys is dead, he says flatly. We must crown Aegon immediately, before Rhaenyra learns of her father's death and moves to claim the throne herself. She will see it as theft, Lord Jasper points out, though he doesn't sound opposed, just stating facts. She can see it however she wishes, Otto replies. The law is clear. The eldest son inherits before any daughter. Aegon is the rightful king. Aemond listens, says nothing. He agrees with the principle, believes it genuinely. Aegon, for all his flaws, is the legitimate heir by every law and tradition in Westeros. Rhaenyra is their father's favorite, but favorites don't get to override centuries of precedent. Still, he knows what this means. Rhaenyra won't accept it. She's been raised believing the throne is hers. Daemon certainly won't accept it. And they have dragons. This won't end with a coronation and a polite letter declining the crown. This will end in fire and blood. There is one problem, sire, Criston says, looking uncomfortable. Prince Aegon is not in his chambers. We've searched his usual haunts. He's nowhere in the Red Keep. Otto's face darkens. Find him. Quickly and quietly. We cannot crown a king who's hiding in a brothel. Aemond volunteers immediately. I'll find him. Criston Cole joins him, and together they move through King's Landing like ghosts. They check the taverns first, the expensive ones where nobles slum for excitement, then the cheaper ones where Aegon goes when he wants to truly disappear. They check the Street of Silk, the fighting pits, even the Dragon Pit in case he fled to Sunfire. Nothing. Hours pass. The sun climbs higher. Every moment that passes is a moment Rhaenyra might learn of Viserys' death, might fly to King's Landing on Syrinx, might rally her supporters. They find him finally in Flea Bottom, not at a brothel or tavern, but in a common house, a child clinging to his leg, a bastard daughter by the look of her, maybe 3 years old. Aegon is drunk, but not incapacitated. More importantly, he's terrified. I won't do it, he says when he sees them. When he understands why they've come. I won't take the crown. Let Rhaenyra have it. You don't have a choice, Criston says. Not unkindly. Your mother needs you. Your family needs you. The realm needs you. The realm needs stability. Aegon shoots back. Crowning me is declaring war. Thousands will die. Aemond speaks for the first time. They'll die whether you take the crown or not. Rhaenyra will not let mother live. Will not let any of us live. We supported you over her. That's treason in her eyes. Our only safety is your crown. It's true, and Aegon knows it. The fear in his eyes shifts, becomes something else. Resignation, acceptance. He kisses the child's head, passes her a coin, and stands unsteadily. Let's get this over with. They bring him back to the Red Keep. Alicent weeps when she sees him, though whether from relief or sorrow is unclear. Otto immediately begins preparations for the coronation. It must be public, must be grand. The people must see their king crowned, or it means nothing. The Dragon Pit, that's where they'll do it. Where Aegon the Conqueror first landed, where history began, and now where it pivots again. They dress Aegon in black and red, Targaryen colors, place Aegon the Conqueror's crown on his head, the circlet of Valyrian steel set with rubies. It's too large, sits awkwardly, but it doesn't matter. It's the symbol that counts. Thousands gather in the Dragon Pit, small folk mostly. Otto's gold has spread the word, brought them out to witness. They cheer when Aegon appears, not because they love him, but because crowds cheer at spectacles. Aemond stands behind his brother, one hand on his sword, watching the crowd, watching for threats. The sapphire under his eye patch seems to burn. Sir Criston Cole raises Aegon's hand. All hail Aegon, second of his name, King of the Andals, the Rhoynar, and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, and Protector of the Realm. The crowd roars. Aegon, despite his fear and reluctance, smiles. He's always been weak to adulation. The sound of people cheering for him, even bought cheers, even hollow cheers, it transforms his face. For a moment he looks almost kingly. Then the floor of the dragon pit explodes. Stone and rubble spray upward as something massive bursts through from below. People scream, scatter, stampede toward the exits. And rising from the destruction, shaking debris from scarlet scales, is Meleys, the Red Queen, Princess Rhaenys's dragon. And on her back, Rhaenys herself, the queen who never was, the woman who should have been chosen over Viserys a generation ago. She stares down at the coronation party with cold fury. Aemond's hand goes to his sword, though he knows how useless that is against dragonfire. Around him, guards raise spears with equally futile determination. Alicent grabs Aegon's arm, frozen in terror. Meleys lowers her head, opens her jaws. The heat builds in her throat, visible as a hellish orange glow. She could kill them all, right here, right now. End the green cause before it truly begins. One burst of dragonfire, and Aegon, Aemond, Alicent, Otto, all dead. No war, no dance of dragons, just quick, brutal justice. Lynnon meets Rhaenys's eyes across the wreckage. He sees calculation there, weighing options, considering. Then Meleys closes her jaws. The glow fades. Instead she roars, a sound that shakes the bones of everyone present, that declares power and presence and promise, a warning. Then she launches through the ruined roof and into the sky, vanishing into the morning sun. The dragon pit stands in shocked silence. Small folk sobbing, guards pale, the coronation party shaken to their cores. Otto is the first to recover. His voice, when he speaks, is steady. That changes nothing. Aegon is crowned. He is king. But Aemond knows better. That changed everything. Rhaenys just delivered their answer. She could have ended it and chose not to. Not from mercy, from something else. Maybe she doesn't want to be remembered as a kinslayer. Maybe she wanted to give them a chance to surrender. Maybe she simply wanted them to know what's coming. War, that's what's coming. Inevitable now. No possible peace. The coronation continues, hasty and shaken but official. Aegon is king. The lords present bend the knee, swear oaths. The machinery of legitimacy grinds forward. But Aemond barely hears it. He's thinking about Rhaenys flying back to Dragonstone right now. About Rhaenyra learning her father is dead and her throne stolen. About Daemon's rage when he discovers what's been done. And he's thinking about Lucerys, about the boy who took his eye, who will now be on the opposite side of a war. The small council meets again that evening. Otto lays out the strategy. They need allies, need to secure houses, lock down the crown lands, prepare for sieges and battles. We should strike first, Aemond says. Take Dragonstone before they can fortify. We have Vhagar, one dragon, even a great one, could end this quickly. Too risky, Otto replies. Dragonstone has multiple dragons, Syrax, Caraxes, Meleys. After today, you'd be outnumbered. Then we need alliances. Shore up our support before they do. Agreed, Otto says. We'll send envoys to Storm's End, to Old Town, to the Reach. We offer marriages, titles, promises, whatever it takes. I'll go to Storm's End. Aemond offers. Lord Boros will respond well to a show of strength. I'll take Vhagar. Otto considers, then nods. Do it. Secure the Stormlands. Offer him a marriage pact. one of his daughters for you. Aemond agrees, though marriage is the last thing on his mind. What matters is winning. What matters is his family's survival. What matters is proving that he, not Aegon, is the strength of their cause. Before he leaves, his mother catches his arm. "Be careful," she says softly. "Please, I cannot lose another son." He kisses her forehead, a rare gesture of affection. "I won't fail you." But as he walks to the dragon pit to fly Vhagar south, as the great beast rumbles awake at his approach, Aemond feels something building in his chest. Not fear, anticipation, almost eagerness. He's been preparing for war his whole life. Now it's here. Now he gets to prove everything he's become. Gets to show the realm what the boy they mocked has transformed into. Gets to collect a debt 9 years overdue. He doesn't know yet that Rhaenyra will send someone to Storm's End too. Doesn't know that fate is arranging the pieces for a confrontation that will define everything that follows. Doesn't know that the next time he sees Lucerys Velaryon, one of them will be dead. The sapphire gleams in the fading light. Vhagar spreads her wings, and Aemond Targaryen flies south toward his destiny, toward the moment that will transform him from prince to kinslayer, from warrior to monster. The storm is waiting, and he's flying straight into it. The flight south takes most of a day. Vhagar is not built for speed. She's built for power, for endurance, for striking fear into anyone who sees her shadow cross the sun. They fly over the Kingswood, over the marches following the coast as it curves east toward Shipbreaker Bay. The weather worsens as they approach. Storm's End earned its name honestly. The castle sits on a cliff overlooking some of the most dangerous waters in Westeros. Ships have been breaking apart on these rocks for thousands of years. Even now, Aemond can see the whitecaps far below, waves like charging cavalry smashing against stone. Dark clouds gather on the horizon, a storm coming in from the sea. Of course, even the weather seems determined to make this day miserable. Vhagar's arrival shakes the castle. Guards on the walls shout in alarm as her massive form descends into the courtyard. She barely fits, her wings scraping against towers, her tail crushing a section of wall that will need rebuilding. Lord Boros Baratheon comes out to greet this unexpected royal visit, looking nervous and impressed in equal measure. "Prince Aemond," he says, bowing, "this is an honor. Though I confess your arrival is somewhat alarming. That's the largest dragon I've ever seen." "That's the largest dragon anyone's seen in 80 years, Aemond replies, dismounting. "I bring greetings from King Aegon, second of his name, and a proposal for alliance." They move inside, into the round hall. It's a massive circular chamber, warm and dry, a relief after the flight. Lord Boros sits in his high seat, his 4 daughters arranged nearby, Floris, Cassandra, Maris, Ellen, all of marriageable age, all staring at Aemond with varying degrees of interest and fear. The sapphire fascinates them. He can see it in their eyes. They're trying not to stare, but failing. He's used to it by now. Some women find the scar and gemstone repulsive. Others find it dangerously attractive. He suspects Lord Boros's daughters fall into the latter category. He makes his proposal formally. Alliance with Aegon, support against Rhaenyra's claim, and in exchange, marriage. Aemond will wed whichever daughter Lord Boros prefers, bringing the Stormlands into the royal family properly. Boros listens carefully. He's not stupid, just blunt. He knows what this means. Knows that saying yes commits him to a war. But he also knows that storms end eventually, and when they do, it's better to have backed the winner. "Your brother's claim is sound," Boros admits. "By law and tradition, he should be king. But I'll need assurances. Rhaenyra has dragons too." "We have Vhagar," Aemond says simply. the largest, oldest, most powerful dragon alive. I alone could burn every supporter Rhaenyra has between here and the wall. It's not an idle boast, it's simple fact, and Boros knows it. They're discussing terms, working out details, when a guard enters the hall hurriedly. My lord, another dragon approaches, a smaller one. Aemond's blood goes cold. He knows before the guard finishes speaking. It bears the colors of House Velaryon. The guard continues. Prince Lucerys, I believe. The room goes very quiet, everyone understanding instantly what this means. Both sides sending envoys to the same place, both trying to secure the same alliance. This was inevitable, perhaps, but the timing feels like fate mocking them. Show him in, Boros says. After a moment, he came as an envoy. I'll hear him as one. Aemond says nothing, just waits. His hand unconsciously moves to where his eye patch sits. Under it, the sapphire feels warm. Then Lucerys enters the hall. He's 14 now, still young, still growing into his height. His dark hair wet from the rain that started falling outside. His purple eyes go wide when he sees Aemond standing there. Pure terror crosses his face. He recognizes immediately how badly he's miscalculated, how vulnerable he is. Lord Boros, Luke says, his voice cracking slightly. I bring a message from my mother, Queen Rhaenyra. Queen, Aemond repeats softly. Interesting choice of title. Luke ignores him, hands the message to Lord Boros. The Lord of Storm's End reads it quickly, frowns. Your mother makes demands but offers nothing, he says bluntly. Prince Aemond offers a marriage pact. What does Rhaenyra offer besides expectations of loyalty? Luke flounders. He's too young for this, too unprepared. He wasn't sent to negotiate. He was sent to deliver a message. Maybe his mother thought Storm's End was a safe choice, a quick task for a young prince to prove himself. She offers her gratitude, Luke tries, and friendship. Gratitude doesn't forge alliances. Boros snaps. Tell your mother, I choose King Aegon. Now go. Luke turns to leave, relief visible on his face. He's desperate to get away from Aemond's stare, from this place, from this disaster. Wait, Aemond says. One word, soft but commanding. Luke freezes. Aemond walks forward slowly. 9 years he's been waiting for this. 9 years of that sapphire gleaming where his eye should be. 9 years of watching Luke grow up safely at Dragonstone, while he bore his scar. He removes the eye patch. The sapphire catches the torchlight, blazing blue. Look at me, Aemond says. Look at what you took. Luke won't meet his eye, stares at the floor shaking. My prince, I was wrong to do what I did. Luke stammers. I was a child. I didn't mean to, Aemond repeats. You didn't mean to slash a blade across my face. Didn't mean to cut out my eye. It was an accident, Luke says desperately. You were going to kill JC. I was trying to save him. And now, I'm going to collect what you owe me, Aemond says. An eye for an eye. That's fair, isn't it? He draws a dagger, offers it to Luke hilt first. Take it, cut out your eye, do it yourself, and I'll let you leave. Refuse, and I'll take it, myself. Luke backs away. I can't, my lord, please. Prince Aemond, Lord Boros interrupts. I will not have bloodshed in my hall. He came as an envoy. Let him leave as an envoy. Aemond stares at Boros. For a moment, it seems he might refuse, might cut Luke down anyway, and damn the consequences. But slowly, he sheaths the dagger. You heard Lord Boros, he says to Luke. Go, run back to your mother. Luke doesn't need to be told twice. He turns and flees the hall, running like the boy he still is, desperate and terrified. Aemond watches him go, then looks at Boros. "Finish your deliberations, my lord," he says coldly. "I need to attend to something." He walks out into the rain that's now pouring, thunder rumbling overhead. The storm has arrived in full force. Lucerys is already mounting Arax in the courtyard. The dragon is small, young, barely larger than a horse, nervous in the storm, and picking up his rider's fear. Aemond reaches Vahaga. The great beast lifts her head as he approaches. He should let it go, should return to the hall, finalize the alliance, fly back to King's Landing with victory secured. He got what he came for. Boros chose Aegon. The mission is complete. But 9 years of waiting burns in his chest. 9 years of that empty socket that even a sapphire can't truly fill. Just to frighten him, Aemond thinks, just to remind him what fear feels like. He mounts Vhagar. She rumbles, sensing his mood. They launch into the storm. Arax is already airborne, fighting the wind. Luke trying to gain altitude to get away. The little dragon is struggling, buffeted by gales, lightning flashing around them. Vhagar pursues, massive and inexorable as a landslide. The storm that would ground lesser dragons barely slows her. Luke sees them coming, tries to climb faster, but Arax is panicking now, responding to his rider's terror, barely controlled. Aemond follows, not catching up yet, just keeping pace, letting Luke see that massive shadow behind him, letting the fear build. Maybe that's all he means to do, scare him. Let him fly back to Dragonstone, shaking and humiliated. A message delivered without words. Or maybe he means something worse. Even he doesn't fully know. They're over the bay now, dark water churning below, rain lashing both riders. Luke keeps looking back, seeing Vhagar there, relentless. Then Arax makes a choice, driven by instinct or panic. The young dragon turns, opens his jaws, breathes a burst of orange fire back at Vhagar. It's a tiny flame, barely more than what a candle gives off compared to what Vhagar can produce. It doesn't hurt the ancient dragon, barely even singes her scales, but it annoys her. Vhagar has been flying for 180 years. She's been in wars, she's burned armies, she's fought other dragons and won. She does not appreciate being attacked by something she could swallow whole. And she does not ask permission. Vhagar lunges, not at Aemond's command, of her own will, her own anger, her own ancient predator instincts. "No," Aemond shouts, pulling on the reins. "No, Vhagar, stop." But dragons are not horses. You don't command them, you partner with them. And Vhagar has decided this annoyance needs to end. Her jaws open, close around Arax midair. The sound is terrible, bones crunching, metal and leather tearing, a scream that might be human or might be dragon cut short. Then it's raining blood and pieces, dragon parts and rider parts falling into the churning sea below. Lucerys Velaryon is dead. Arax is dead, consumed in a single bite. Amandine sits frozen on Vhagar's back. The dragon circles once, looking for more threats. Finding none, she settles, satisfied. Below, the water churns where the pieces fell. Nothing surfaces, nothing could have survived. He didn't mean for this. He wanted to frighten Luke maybe, hurt him, possibly. But murder? Kinslaying? That's a curse. That's damnation. Everyone knows the gods punish kinslayers, make their lives misery, their deaths painful. But even as horror fills him, something else stirs, something darker. Satisfaction, relief. The debt is paid. The eye is answered. Justice of a sort has been served. He doesn't know what to feel, so he feels nothing, locks it away, turns Vhagar back towards Storm's End. When he lands, Lord Boros is waiting. The Lord's face is pale. "What happened out there?" he asks, though he clearly already knows. "There was a storm," Aemond says flatly. "The boy's dragon attacked mine. Vhagar defended herself." It's not technically a lie, but it's not the truth either. Boros stares at him. Seeing something in Aemond's face that wasn't there before, the Lord takes a step back. "You should return to King's Landing," he says carefully, quickly, before word spreads. Aemond nods, mounts Vhagar, again without another word. They launch into the dying storm and turn north. The flight back is longer, or feels longer. Aemond replays the moment again and again. The lunge, the bite, the blood rain, trying to understand if he wanted that, if some part of him commanded it without speaking, if Vhagar simply acted on his desire made manifest. He doesn't know, will never know. What he knows is that Lucerys Strong is dead, that he, Anton Targaryen, is a kinslayer now, that title that men spit like a curse, that mark that brands you forever. And worse, he knows what this means for the war. There could have been peace. Maybe, probably not, but maybe, Rhaenyra might have negotiated, might have found some compromise. Not now, not after this. He's killed her son. Nothing can walk that back. No negotiation possible. This is total war now, to the bitter end. No mercy, no quarter, blood and fire, until one side is destroyed completely. And it's his fault, his choice, his action, his dragon, his curse. The sapphire under his eye patch burns like a coal. The eye that was taken, the life that was taken in return. Scales balanced, debts paid. But the cost, gods, the cost. King's Landing appears on the horizon, home, but it doesn't feel like home anymore. It feels like a place where he'll have to explain the inexplicable, justify the unjustifiable. He's the kinslayer now. Aemond One Eye. Aemond the Kinslayer. That's how history will remember him. And the dance of dragons has truly begun. News of Lucerys' death reaches Dragonstone before Aemond reaches King's Landing. Ravens fly faster than dragons, and bad news travels fastest of all. Rhaenyra collapses when she learns, simply drops where she stands, a sound escaping her that witnesses will later describe as inhuman. The grief of a mother who's lost a child. Daemon has to carry her to her chambers. She doesn't speak for 3 days, just stares at nothing, occasionally whispering Luke's name. When she finally surfaces, she's changed. The woman who might have negotiated, who might have sought peace, that woman died with her son. What remains is harder, colder, focused on one thing only: vengeance. Daemon doesn't need to be told what she wants. He's been wanting it himself since word arrived. A son for a son. That's the law. That's justice. If Aemond wants to play by those rules, Daemon will show him exactly what those rules mean. He sends for Mysaria, the White Worm, mistress of whispers, keeper of secrets. She knows every dark corner of King's Landing, every passage and tunnel, every person who can be bought. "I need someone dead," Daemon tells her without preamble. "Who?" she asks. "Aemond Targaryen. But if you can't reach him, I'll settle for his brother's son, a son for a son." Mysaria considers. Reaching Aemond will be difficult. He's protected, paranoid, trained, always armed, always aware. But children are easier, softer targets. She knows 2 men. Blood, a former City Watch soldier who served under Daemon years ago, still loyal, still willing to get his hands dirty. and Cheese, a rat catcher, who knows the secret ways through the Red Keep better than anyone alive. Every crawl space, every forgotten passage, every route the rats take. Perfect. They plan carefully. Blood and Cheese will enter through the tunnels Cheese uses for his work. They'll search for Aemond first. If they can't find him, they take Jaehaerys, Aegon and Helenena's son, 6 years old, the heir to Aegon's throne. A son for a son. The message will be clear. Back in King's Landing, Aemond returns to chaos. The small council is in emergency session. Otto Hightower's face is thunderous when Aemond enters. "What have you done?" Otto demands. "Do you understand what you've started?" "Lucerys attacked first," Aemond says, his voice flat. His dragon breathed fire on Vega. "She defended herself." "Defended herself," Otto repeats incredulously. "The boy was 14. His dragon was barely grown. You chased him into a storm on the largest dragon in the world, and you claim self-defense?" Aegon, surprisingly, laughs. It's a drunk laugh, slightly hysterical. "My brother the Kinslayer," he says. "At least you're not boring." This is not a jest. Alicent snaps at her eldest son. Then to Aemond, "Do you realize what Rhaenyra will do? What Daemon will do in her name?" "Let them try," Aemond says. "We're at war. People die in wars." But his mother sees through the bravado, sees the tension in his shoulders, the way his hand keeps moving to the sapphire. He's shaken, trying to hide it, failing. The council argues for hours. Some want to send an apology. Others want to deny everything. Criston Cole suggests they prepare for retaliation. Double the guards, increase security. They dismiss finally, with nothing resolved, just fear hanging in the air. Waiting for the other side to move, Aemond doesn't go to his chambers, goes instead to the Street of Silk, to a woman named Sylvie who runs a pleasure house. But Aemond doesn't go to her, for the usual reasons men visit pleasure houses. He goes because she's safe, because she doesn't judge, because she's one of the few people who sees him as something other than a weapon or a monster. He tells her what happened. The storm, the chase, the bite, the blood. "Was it murder?" he asks her quietly. "Did I mean for it to happen?" "Does it matter?" she asks gently, running fingers through his hair. "What's done is done. You can't unring that bell." He stays with her most of the night, not sleeping, just lying there, thinking about Lucerys falling, wondering if the boy had time to be afraid, wondering if he screamed. He doesn't know that while he's there, Blood and Cheese are entering the Red Keep through tunnels full of rat droppings and darkness. They search for Aemond first, check his chambers, empty, check the training yard, the library, the small council room, no sign of him. "We can't go back empty-handed," Blood says. Daemon was clear. Cheese knows where the royal children sleep. He's been through these passages 100 times, knows which rooms connect to which, knows that Queen Helena often stays with her children rather than with Aegon. They find the room, enter silently. 3 children sleeping, 2 older ones, twins, Jaehaerys and Jaehaerys and Jaehaeria, 6 years old, and little Medalor, barely 2, in a crib. Helenina is there too, embroidering by candlelight. She looks up as they enter. Her face goes blank with terror. Blood draws his blade. Cheese closes the door behind them. "We're here for Prince Aemond," Blood says quietly. "But he's not here, so we'll take a son instead. You choose." The cruelty of it is the point. Not just to kill, but to make the mother choose which child dies, to make her live forever with that choice. Helena is shaking, looking between her children. Jaehaerys is stirring, waking at the voices. Jaehaerys still asleep. Mandalore watching with wide, uncomprehending eyes. "Please," Halcyona whispers. "Please don't do this. Take me, kill me, leave them." "A son," Blood repeats. "Choose, or we take all three." She can't. How can anyone choose? But the knife is at Jaehaerys's throat now, her eldest, her heir, and Mandalore is so small, so young. Maybe wouldn't understand, maybe wouldn't suffer as much. "Mandalore," she whispers finally, "take Mandalore." Blood and Cheese exchange a look. Then Blood turns to Jaehaerys. "You hear that, boy," he says. "Your mother wants you dead," and draws the blade across the child's throat. Helena's scream brings the guards, but too late. Blood and Cheese are already fleeing through the rat passages. Cheese knows every turn, every hidden door. They vanish into King's Landing's underbelly like smoke. Guards find Helena holding Jaehaerys's body, blood everywhere. The other children traumatized, Mandalore crying, not understanding why his mother said his name, why his brother is sleeping in all that red. The castle erupts, Aegon raging, smashing furniture, screaming for blood. Alicent, in shock. Otto organizing a citywide search. Criston Cole locking down the Red Keep. And Aemond returning at dawn to find his world shattered again. They tell him what happened, who died, how it happened, why. "It was meant for you," Criston says grimly. "They couldn't find you, so they took the boy instead." Aemond goes to see Helena. She's sitting with Jaehaera and Mala, but she's not really there. Her eyes are empty, broken. She doesn't even look at him when he enters. "Sister," he starts. "They wanted you," she says flatly. "You killed their son, so they killed mine. That's fair, isn't it? That's justice." The words hit him like arrows, because she's right. This is his fault. He killed Lucerys. Daemon took payment from Helena because he couldn't reach Aemond. A 6-year-old boy died because Aemond couldn't control his rage, couldn't control his dragon, couldn't let an old debt rest. "I'm sorry," he says. The words feel pathetic, useless. Helena finally looks at him. Her eyes that usually seem distant and dreamy are now focused, sharp, full of an intelligence people usually miss. "Are you," she asks, "or are you just sorry you weren't here to stop it? Sorry that someone else paid your price?" He has no answer, leaves her there with her surviving children and her dead son's blood still on her dress. Back in his chambers, he sits alone in the dark. The sapphire feels heavy. Not the physical weight, but the weight of meaning. An eye for an eye. A son for a son. The mathematics of vengeance that spiral endlessly because someone always wants the last word. He wonders if Lucerys felt what Jaehaerys felt. Terror, betrayal, pain. He wonders if the debt is truly balanced now, or if it will keep growing, consuming everyone, until there's nothing left but corpses and ashes. The city searches for days. They eventually catch Cheese, torture him for information about his accomplice. He breaks quickly, gives up Blood's name and likely locations, but Blood has vanished. Daemon's network protecting him, moving him through safe houses, eventually smuggling him out of the city entirely. Cheese is executed publicly, hung, drawn, and quartered in the plaza, before the Red Keep. The crowd watches in silence. No cheers, just grim satisfaction that at least one killer has been caught. But it doesn't matter. Jaehaerys is still dead. Helena is still broken, and the war has escalated beyond any hope of peace. Aegon orders every rat-catcher in the city killed. Dozens of men who had nothing to do with the murder, strung up in the streets, collective punishment. Terror for terror. It doesn't make anyone feel better, doesn't bring back the boy. just adds more bodies to the count. Aemond attends Jaehaerys' funeral, stands in the back while his nephew is committed to the flames in Targaryen tradition. He watches Helenea's face, empty, hollow, destroyed. This is what vengeance looks like. Not glorious, not satisfying, just sad, just wasteful, just children dead because their parents couldn't let go of old wounds. After the funeral, Criston Cole finds him. "The small council wants you as military commander," Cole says. "Aegon is too emotional. Otto is too cautious. You're the only one who can win this war." Aemond nods slowly, accepts the responsibility. What else can he do? Run? Hide? He started this. He needs to finish it. But something has changed in him. The part that might have felt guilt, that might have questioned his choices, that part hardens into something else. If they want a monster, he'll be a monster. If they want ruthless efficiency, he'll give them that. If they want someone who won't flinch at necessary cruelty, fine. He'll burn every supporter Rhaenyra has, every castle that declares for her, every village that shelters her soldiers. He'll turn the Riverlands into a wasteland. He'll make them regret ever raising a hand against his family. Not for revenge. He tells himself it's not for revenge, it's for victory, for survival, for the crown Aegon wears, and the family that depends on him. But late at night, alone with only the sapphire and his memories, he knows the truth. He's angry, furious. At Daemon for ordering the hit, at Rhaenyra for starting this war, at Lucerys for taking his eye all those years ago, at himself for not being there to protect Jaehaerys, for being with Sylvie while his nephew was being murdered, for setting this chain of events in motion with one moment of lost control above Shipbreaker Bay. The guilt and rage mix into something toxic, something that will poison everything he touches. But he embraces it, becomes it, because what other choice does he have? They wanted the Kinslayer. They'll get the Kinslayer, and he'll show them exactly what that means. The sapphire gleams in the darkness, reflecting candlelight like a cold, judgmental eye, watching him become the thing he always feared he might be. Not a victim who became strong, not a warrior who found glory, but a monster who justified every terrible thing he did by pointing at the terrible things done to him. The cycle continues, the spiral descends, and Aemond Targaryen, 19 years old with a lifetime of rage, stands at the center of it all, ready to burn the world if that's what survival requires. Blood for blood, fire for fire, until there's nothing left but ashes and the echoes of children screaming. War spreads across Westeros like wildfire. The Blacks control Dragonstone and the eastern coast. The Greens hold King's Landing and most of the Crown Lands. Every house must choose. Neutrality is impossible. Lord Staunton of Rook's Rest declares for Rhaenyra. His castle sits dangerously close to King's Landing. Too close. A threat that cannot be ignored. Criston Cole marches an army to Rook's Rest. The plan is simple. Lay siege. Draw out a black dragon. Ambush it with 2 green dragons. Quick, brutal, decisive. Aemond volunteers immediately. So does Aegon. The brothers will fight together for the first time. 2 dragons, 2 riders. Victory seems certain. Princess Rhaenys responds to Lord Staunton's desperate ravens. She arrives on Melies 9 days later. The Red Queen, they call her Dragon. Fast, experienced, deadly. Rhaenys herself is over 50 but still formidable. A warrior who should have been queen a generation ago. Melies attacks the army below with devastating efficiency. Dragonfire turns soldiers to ash. The green scatter, burning, dying. Criston Cole's forces are being massacred from above. It looks like a disaster. Then the trap springs. Aemond and Vhagar emerge from the tree line where they've been hiding. Aegon and Sunfire appear from the opposite direction. Suddenly Rhaenys is facing two dragons. She should flee, but she's never run from anything in her life. She chooses to fight. The aerial battle is chaos. Three dragons twisting through the sky. Melees against Sunfire first. The Red Queen is faster, more experienced. She rakes claws across Sunfire's golden belly. The beautiful dragon screams, bleeding. Aegon panics. He's never been in real combat before. Never faced another dragon trying to kill him. He's shouting commands that contradict each other. Sunfire responds erratically. Vhagar enters the fight, massive and unstoppable. But here's where accounts differ. Some say Vhagar accidentally crashes into Sunfire while attacking Melees. Others say Aemond deliberately held back from protecting his brother properly. Still others claim it was just the chaos of dragon combat. Three massive beasts in close quarters. Whatever the truth, the result is catastrophic for Aegon. Sunfire and Aegon both fall. Dragonfire has melted parts of Aegon's armor to his skin. His dragon's wing is shattered. They crash to the ground with bone-breaking impact. Aegon survives, barely. His body a ruin of burns and breaks. Sunfire crippled beside him. But now it's just Vhagar against Melees. Size versus speed. Age versus experience. They clash high above the battlefield. Melees fighting brilliantly, darting in and out using her agility. But Vhagar is patient, ancient. She's fought this fight before, in different skies against different dragons. The killing blow comes when Vhagar's jaws finally close on Melees' neck. The crunch of bones echoes. Both dragons fall together, locked in death. They hit the ground hard enough to shake the castle walls. Melees is dead. Rhaenys crushed beneath her, the greatest dragon rider of her generation gone. In an instant, Aemond and Vhagar are unharmed. Victory, but at what cost? Aegon is carried back to King's Landing more dead than alive. The maesters work for days trying to save him. Milk of poppy constantly, half his body burned, broken bones that will never set right. He drifts in and out of consciousness, screaming when awake. The small council meets in emergency session. The king is incapacitated, cannot rule, may not survive. Someone needs to lead. Someone needs to make decisions. Alicent looks at her second son, the one who's always been ready, always been capable, the one she made into a weapon. Prince Aemond will serve as Prince Regent and Protector of the realm until King Aegon recovers. The vote is unanimous, not because they all trust Aemond, because they have no other choice. Aemond takes up the iron and ruby crown of Aegon the Conqueror, not to wear permanently, just to hold in trust for his brother. That's what he tells everyone. That's what he tells himself. But when he looks in the mirror, crown in his hands, he thinks it, the thought he's never allowed himself to think fully. It looks better on me. He would be a better king. Everyone knows it. He's smarter, stronger, more disciplined. He actually wants to rule, actually cares about strategy and governance. Aegon only ever wanted wine and women, and to be left alone. But Aegon is firstborn. That's the law. That's tradition. That's the entire justification for their side of this war. Males inherit before females. The eldest inherits before the younger. If Aemond breaks that rule, what's their cause worth? So he doesn't take the crown, just holds it in trust. Visits his brother regularly, in the sick room, watches Aegon suffer, wonders if he'll recover, wonders if he wants him to recover. The thought shames him, but it's there, a dark whisper. Aegon is weak. The realm needs strength. Maybe this is fate removing an obstacle. He pushes the thought away. focuses on ruling. And Aemond, as Prince Regent, is efficient, ruthless, effective in ways that terrify even his supporters. Every decision made quickly, every order carried out immediately. No mercy, no hesitation, no second guessing. The small council meetings that used to drag for hours now finish in minutes. Aemond doesn't debate, doesn't entertain objections, decides and moves on. Some of the lords appreciate the efficiency, others miss Otto Hightower's more careful diplomatic approach. But no one dares challenge Aemond directly. Not with Vhagar sleeping in the dragon pit, not with that sapphire eye staring them down. The war strategy changes under his command. No more defensive posture, no more trying to minimize damage. Total war, aggressive campaigns, systematic destruction of anyone supporting Rhaenyra. Daemon has taken Harrenhal in the Riverlands, that cursed castle, largest in the Seven Kingdoms, a strategic disaster. From there he can raid in any direction. Aemond gathers an army, marches north with Criston Cole. Their mission is simple: retake Harrenhal. Destroy every house that declared for the Blacks. Make the Riverlands remember what happens when you oppose the rightful king. But Aemond goes further. Not just military targets, villages, farms, anyone suspected of helping the enemy. Vhagar burns them all. He tells himself it's necessary, that war requires hard choices, that mercy now means more death later. But the truth is darker. He's angry, still furious about Jaehaerys, about blood and cheese, about Lucerys, and the eye and the pink dread, and every humiliation and wound he's ever suffered. And now he has absolute power to act on that anger. The Riverlands burn. Castle after castle falls to Vhagar's fire. Lord Simon Strong and his family executed at Harrenhal when Daemon abandons it. Entire villages destroyed, because they might have sheltered Black supporters. Fields burned so they can't feed the enemy. The small folk flee before him, refugees streaming south and north, carrying stories of the One Eye. The sapphire that gleams like a demon's eye. The dragon so large it blocks out the sun. The prince who shows no mercy. Fear spreads faster than the flames. That's useful. That's what war requires. Only one person at Harrenhal is spared when Aemond takes it. A woman named Alice Rivers, bastard of House Strong. Rumored to have green sight, to be a witch, beautiful in a haunting way. Much older than she looks. A squire begs Aemond to spare her. Aemond considers killing her anyway just to complete the Strong Line's destruction, but something stops him. Maybe curiosity, maybe loneliness, maybe he sees something in her eyes that reminds him he's still human. She becomes his companion, not just physically, though that too, but she understands him in ways no one else does. Sees the boy beneath the monster, offers comfort his family never could. With her, he can admit his doubts, his fears, his guilt. She doesn't judge, just listens, offers cryptic prophecies that may be genuine or may just be clever observations. You will die above dark waters, she tells him once. He laughs it off, but remembers. She becomes pregnant with his child. A scandal if anyone cared. But in the midst of war, one bastard more or less doesn't matter. Months pass. The Riverlands are a wasteland. Aemond's reputation grows darker. Even his allies whisper about his cruelty. Otto Hightower sends letters urging restraint. Aemond ignores them. Then Daemon sends his challenge. Ravens to every lord in Westeros, meet me above the God's Eye, single combat, dragon against dragon, rider against rider, let the gods decide. It's a trap, obviously, but it's also irresistible. Two kinslayers, two of the deadliest warriors alive, two dragons legendary in their own right. the ultimate confrontation. Aemond reads the challenge, smiles coldly, sends back one word: accepted. Daemon's challenge arrives at every major castle in Westeros. Not private, not secret, public, humiliating if refused. Meet me above the God's Eye on the 22nd day of the 5th month. Come alone, dragon against dragon. Let us end this as warriors should. And then the barbs, calculated insults designed to make refusal impossible. Or does the One-Eye fear to face a true dragon warrior? Does he only kill children and women? Does his whore witch keep his courage locked away? The small council reads the message in stunned silence. Every lord knows what this means. If Aemond refuses, he looks like a coward. If he accepts, he risks everything on single combat. You cannot go, Otto Hightower says immediately. It's obviously a trap. Daemon wouldn't challenge unless he thought he could win. Then, let him think that Aemond replies calmly. You're Prince Regent. The realm needs you. We're winning this war. Don't throw it away for pride. It's not pride, Aemond says, though they both know that's a lie. It's strategy. Daemon is their best commander. Remove him and the Blacks collapse. By risking our best commander, Otto counters. This is madness. But Criston Cole speaks up. A matter of honor demands answering. If Prince Aemond refuses, every lord will question his courage. Better to fight and risk death than refuse and lose respect. The debate continues for hours. Arguments for and against. Alicent sends a letter from King's Landing, begging him not to go. Aegon, still recovering, sends word that he forbids it. Aemond ignores them all. He knows it might be a trap. Knows Daemon is legendary. Caraxes is vicious, and the odds are maybe even at best, but refusing is impossible. Not because of what others will think, because of what he'll think of himself. He spent his entire life proving he's not weak, not the dragonless prince, not the boy who cried at the Pink Dread. He's become the deadliest warrior in the realm. Refusing a challenge from Daemon Targaryen would undo all of that. Besides, he wants this. Has wanted it since the war started. Maybe since before. Daemon represents everything. Aemond despises the rogue prince who breaks rules and gets celebrated for it. The warrior whose reputation overshadows everyone. The man who ordered Jaehaerys murdered. This isn't just combat, it's judgment. Two kinslayers meeting in the sky. Only one will survive. The gods will decide who deserves to. At least that's what Aemond tells himself. He spends a week preparing, checks Vhagar's harness personally, has his armor repaired and reinforced, sharpens his sword until the edge could split hairs, practices maneuvers with Vhagar until they move as one perfect entity. Alice watches him prepare, says nothing for days, then finally speaks. You know you might not return. Yes. And you're going anyway. Yes. She touches her belly, where their child grows. If you die, what should I name them? If it's a boy, Aemond. If a girl, choose what you like. She studies his face, the sapphire gleaming, the jaw set with determination. You want this, she says. Not the challenge. The end. You're tired. He doesn't answer, can't answer, because she's right. Part of him is exhausted. Exhausted by war, by killing, by being the monster everyone expects, by the weight of the crown he holds but cannot claim, by the guilt that wakes him at night. Maybe death in glorious combat would be easier than continuing, simpler than living with everything he's done. But he doesn't say that, just kisses her forehead. I'll return. She doesn't believe him. He can see it in her eyes. His mother arrives at Harrenhal the day before he's set to leave. She rode from King's Landing specifically to stop him, her face aged by war, and grief. "Please," she says, "I've lost one son to burns and one son to this war already. Don't make me lose another." "Aegon lives," Aemond points out. "Barely. And Darren is in Old Town. Might as well be lost. You're all I have left whole. Don't do this." "I have to." "Why? For pride? For glory? To prove something to men who don't matter? To end the war? Daemon is their beating heart. Without him, they collapse. And without you, we collapse." Alicent counters, "Aegon can't rule. Otto is too cautious. Criston is brave but not strategic. You're the only reason we're winning." A diamond takes her hands, looks into her eyes. "I have never lost, Mother. Not in the training yard, not in battle, not in the sky. I will not start now." "Arrogance," she says. "Daemon has been fighting since before you were born. And I have Vhagar, the largest dragon in the world. The dragon that conquered kingdoms. Dragons die," Alicent whispers. "Riders die. Please, for me, don't go." But she sees in his face that he's already decided. Has been decided since the challenge arrived. Maybe since the war started. This confrontation was always inevitable. She weeps. He holds her. For a moment he's not the Prince Regent, or the Kinslayer, or Aemond One Eye. Just a son saying goodbye to his mother. "I love you," she says. "I love you too." She leaves before dawn, can't bear to watch him fly to his death. Aemond dresses carefully that morning. Black armor chased with gold, his sword belted at his waist, the eye patch left behind. Let Daemon see the sapphire. Let him see what was taken and what was gained. He walks to where Vhagar waits. The ancient dragon rumbles at his approach. She knows. Animals always know when death is near. "One more flight, girl," he tells her. "One more battle, then we rest." He climbs into the saddle, checks the straps one final time. Everything perfect, everything ready. The flight to the God's Eye takes hours. He flies over the devastated riverlands, sees the smoking ruins of his own campaign. Villages destroyed, fields burned, thousands dead or displaced. All because of choices he made, orders he gave, rage he unleashed. Was it worth it? Has any of this been worth it? He doesn't know. Too late to matter now. The God's Eye appears on the horizon, largest lake in Westeros. At its center, the Isle of Faces, with its ancient weirwood trees, sacred ground, haunted ground, perfect place for legends to end. He sees Caraxes circling above, the bloodworm, serpentine and vicious, smaller than Vhagar but faster, Aemina, more experienced in dragon combat. And on his back, Daemon. Even from a distance, Andaman can see him, black armor, dark sister sword, ready. The rogue prince waiting. Two kinslayers about to dance. Andaman circles once, studying the terrain, looking for traps, seeing none. Just demon, just demon, just Caraxes, just the challenge accepted. He thinks about Lucerys falling, about Jaehaerys bleeding, about all the dead between then and now, about the cycle of vengeance that brought them here, about the boy he used to be, crying in the dragon pit over a pig with fake wings. That boy is gone, dead as everyone else. What remains is this: a warrior, a killer, a kinslayer, flying toward another kinslayer above cursed waters. The sapphire burns, Vhagar roars, and Aemond Targaryen dives toward his destiny, toward the battle that will end him, toward the dark waters that wait below, like an open grave. They circle each other high above the lake, two dragons, two riders, no words exchanged, none needed. the 22nd day of the 5th month, 130 after conquest. The date that will be sung about for centuries, the greatest dragon battle in history. Below them, the Isle of Faces watches with its carved weirwood eyes. Fishermen on the shore have stopped to witness. Everyone knows what this is. Legend unfolding in real time. Vhagar is massive. Bronze-green scales darkened by age, wings that could cover a village. Jaws that have swallowed horses whole. 180 years of accumulated power. Caraxes is smaller but terrible in his own way. Blood-red scales, serpentine body that twists unnaturally. Scarred from decades of war, vicious and cruel and experienced. Aemond on Vhagar, black armor gleaming, sapphire blazing in sunlight. Daemon and Caraxes, dark armor, dark sister ready, face calm as death. Then simultaneously they dive at each other. The impact of the first pass shakes the air. Vhagar's jaws snap inches from Caraxes' neck. The smaller dragon twists away with serpentine flexibility, impossible for other dragons. His claws rake across Vhagar's flank, first blood. They break apart, circle again. Both riders assessing, both dragons growling. Second pass, Caraxes darts in from below, fast, too fast, bites down on Vhagar's leg. The ancient dragon roars in pain and fury, throws Caraxes off with raw strength. But the blood worm is already moving, dancing around Vhagar's bulk, using speed against size. Aemond tries to turn Vhagar faster, but she's not built for agility, built for power. Dragon fire exchanges, orange-red flames from Caraxes, golden fire from Vhagar's ancient lungs. The sky lights up, heat washing over both riders. They're climbing now, higher and higher into thin air and cold wind, both seeking advantage, both refusing to yield. Aemond's tactical mind working. Vhagar is stronger but slower, needs to end this quickly. One decisive strike, pin Caraxes. Finish it. But Daemon knows that too. Keeps moving, keeps Caraxes dancing, wearing down the larger dragon. Patient, experienced. He's been in more dragon fights than Aemond has been alive. Thunder rolls, storm clouds gathering as if the gods themselves are watching. Fourth pass, fifth, sixth. The dragons are tiring, blood dripping from both, scales scorched, wings torn in places. The riders are exhausted too. The physical strain of controlling a dragon in combat is immense. Every muscle screaming, every breath burning. But neither will quit, can't quit. This ends when one of them is dead. Aemond makes his move, commits fully, commands Vhagar into a full-speed dive at Caraxes, all power, all weight, intending to crash into the smaller dragon, use size to crush. Daemon sees it coming, could dodge, could evade like he's been doing. Instead, he charges to meet them. The collision is catastrophic, two dragons smashing together at full speed mid-air. The sound like mountains breaking, both dragons screaming, and suddenly they're locked together. Caraxes' jaws clamped on Vhagar's throat, teeth sinking deep into scales and flesh. The ancient dragon's blood pumping out in torrents. But Vhagar's claws are buried in Caraxes' belly, tearing, ripping, disemboweling. Both dragons mortally wounded, both locked in death grips, both beginning to fall. Aemond realizes instantly what's happened. They're plummeting, locked together. No way to break free, both going down. He pulls desperately at the reins. Rhaegar, up, up! But the ancient dragon is dying, her strength fading, her wings barely moving. Just the weight of two massive creatures pulling each other toward dark water below. Daemon understands too, accepts it, has known from the start. This would be mutual destruction. That was always the point. Remove Aemond from the war, even if it costs his own life. Then Daemon does something impossible. He unbuckles himself from Caraxes' saddle, stands on his dying dragon's back as they fall, draws Dark Sister, the Valyrian steel sword that's been in his family for generations, and jumps, actually jumps from a falling dragon onto another falling dragon through open air. During descent, a feat of balance and courage and insanity, he lands on Vhagar's massive neck, behind where Aemond sits strapped into the saddle. Aemond turns, sees Daemon there, sword raised. For one frozen moment, their eyes meet. The kinslayer and the kinslayer, the boy who lost an eye, and the man who took a nephew, the warrior who burned thousands, and the prince who ordered a child murdered. Daemon brings Dark Sister down with both hands, through Aemond's remaining eye, through his skull, out through his throat. The blade pierces clean. Aemond's body goes rigid, then limp, dead instantly, still strapped to the saddle, the sapphire eye intact, but the natural eye destroyed, blind, at last, silent, forever. Daemon doesn't try to escape, doesn't reach for Vhagar's reins or attempt to control her, just stands there as they fall, sword through Aemond's corpse, accepting death. Some witnesses say he smiled, others say he looked peaceful, still others claim they saw regret. The fall seems to last forever. 4 figures, 2 dragons locked together, dying, 2 riders, one dead and one accepting death. Then they hit the god's eye. The impact is tremendous. Water exploding upward in a geyser visible for miles, waves washing across the Isle of Faces, the sound like thunder. The lake swallows them, all 4, dragons and riders together, down into dark water that's deeper than anyone knows. Silence after, just ripples spreading, mist rising like souls departing, the weirwood trees watching. Nothing surfaces. Fishermen search for days, find nothing. No bodies, no dragons. The god's eye keeps its dead. Local legend says they're still down there, locked together, dragon and dragon, rider and rider, sleeping in darkness until the end of days. News travels fast, both sides shocked. Greatest warriors dead, most powerful dragons gone. The war fundamentally changed in one afternoon. The Greens have lost Prince Regent Aemond and Vhagar, their military strength cut in half, their strategic genius gone. Dagon still recovering, Otto too cautious, Criston brave but not brilliant, leadership vacuum. The Blacks have lost Daemon and Caraxes, their tactical commander, their most experienced warrior, their terror weapon, Rhaenyra devastated. First her son Luke, now her husband Daemon. The war continues but different, smaller, meaner, more desperate, like 2 wounded animals clawing at each other. Eventually both sides will destroy each other. Rhaenyra will take King's Landing but lose it again. Aegon will have her fed to his crippled dragon Sunfire. Then Aegon himself will be poisoned, both claimants dead. Most of their children dead, most of the dragons dead. The realm devastated, the small folk starving, the great houses broken. And for what? For a crown, for pride, for old wounds that could have healed, but instead festered. Aemond Targaryen dies at 20 years old, 2 decades of life. 19 years spent preparing for war, 1 year spent waging it, all ending in dark water. The boy who lost an eye, but gained a dragon. The prince who became regent, the warrior who never lost until the final battle. The kinslayer who paid the kinslayer's price. History will debate him, forever. Was he hero or villain? Victim, who became victimizer? Brilliant warrior or war criminal? Dutiful son or ambitious usurper? All of the above, none of the above. Just a person, damaged and dangerous, brilliant and brutal, capable of love and capable of atrocity. He never wanted to be a monster, just wanted to be respected, to have a dragon like everyone else, to not be mocked or pitied, to prove he was worthy. But somewhere between the pink dread and the God's eye, between losing an eye and taking a life, between being victimized and victimizing others, he became exactly what he feared. Not because he was born bad, because he was hurt and chose to hurt back, because pain transformed into rage, transformed into violence, because the cycle of vengeance never stops until everyone is dead. The sapphire rests somewhere at the bottom of the God's eye, still gleaming in darkness, still beautiful and terrible, a symbol of transformation, of what we lose and what we become. The dragons sleep together, Vega and Caraxes, enemies in death as in life, the oldest and the meanest, both legendary, both gone. And Aemond Targaryen sleeps between them, sword through his skull, strapped to his saddle, flying still in whatever afterlife awaits dragon riders and kinslayers. He wanted to be remembered. He got his wish. Songs will be sung about him until the end of time. Children will play at being Aemond One Eye. Masters will write about the battle of the God's Eye in every history. But the songs won't mention how scared he was as a child, how the pink dread haunted him, how losing his eye hurt worse than any physical pain, how he loved his sister Helena and failed to protect her son, how Elysir Rivers saw him cry, how his mother begged him not to go. The songs will make him a legend, terrible or glorious, depending on who's singing. But legends aren't people. They're simplified, reduced, made into symbols. Aemond was a person, flawed and complex, capable of greatness and capable of horror, shaped by trauma, driven by pride, destroyed by choices he made and choices made for him. And now he's gone, into dark waters, into legend, into the warnings mothers tell children about the price of vengeance and the cost of pride. The God's Eye holds its secrets, the weirwoods watch in silence, and the dance of dragons continues without its deadliest dancer. But the realm will remember, will always remember. Aemond One Eye, the kinslayer, the prince regent who died at 20 above dark waters he was always meant to fall into. Some debts you pay with your life, some curses you can't escape. Some stories end in tragedy, no matter how hard you fight. This was always how his story would end. From the moment that Pig appeared in the dragon pit, from the moment that blade cut through his eye, from the moment Vegard accepted him, flying toward death, locked in combat with another kinslayer, falling into water that never gives up its dead. The boy who wanted a dragon got one, and it cost him everything. The God's Eye at dawn, mist rising from still water, reflecting sky and clouds, peaceful now, quiet. Hard to believe that centuries ago this lake witnessed the death of legends, that somewhere far below, in darkness beyond imagining, 2 dragons and 2 riders sleep their eternal sleep. Local fishermen still leave offerings at the shore, pour wine into the water, whisper prayers for the dead. The tradition has continued for generations, will continue for generations more. Children grow up hearing the stories. Aemond One Eye, the Sapphire Prince, the kinslayer, the warrior who rode the greatest dragon and fell into these very waters. They point to the Isle of Faces at the lake's center, those ancient weirwood trees with their carved eyes. They say the trees watched the battle. Remember it still. On quiet nights, some claim to hear dragon roars echoing from beneath the surface. Others swear they've seen shadows moving in the deep places, shapes too large to be fish, too massive to be anything but what they were. Most likely just stories. The mind seeing patterns in darkness, but maybe not. Maybe some things leave echoes. Maybe violence that extreme leaves scars on a place. The Dance of Dragons ended years after Aemond's death, messy and brutal to the last. Rhaenyra dead, Aegon dead, most of their children dead. The dragons nearly extinct, the Targaryen dynasty crippled. Aegon III, Rhaenyra's surviving son, eventually took the throne, a broken boy, ruling a broken realm. The last dragons died during his reign, an entire species gone, magic fading from the world. All because two branches of a family couldn't share power, because Viserys loved his daughter but married again and had sons, because Otto Hightower schemed, because Alicent feared for her children, because pride and tradition and prophecy and simple human weakness created a war nobody could stop. And at the center of that war's darkest moments stood Aemond, not the cause, never the sole cause, but a catalyst, an accelerant, the spark that turned tension into conflagration. He killed Lucerys and made peace impossible. His actions led to blood and cheese. His reign as Prince Regent burned the Riverlands. His death removed the Green's best commander. Every choice rippled outward. Every action had consequence. But was he evil? That's the question historians debate. The answer is complicated. He was a child who suffered trauma and transformed pain into violence. A victim who became a victimizer. A brilliant mind warped by rage and pride. Capable of love but choosing cruelty. Dutiful but ruthless. Loyal but destructive. He genuinely believed his cause was just, believed Aegon was the rightful king, believed he was protecting his family, believed every terrible thing he did was necessary. And maybe some of it was, war is ugly, always has been, requires hard choices. But there's a line between necessary cruelty and enjoying it, between strategic brutality and losing your humanity. Aemond crossed that line, maybe didn't notice when, maybe didn't care. By the end, he'd become the monster his enemies claimed he was. But he started as a boy, just a boy who wanted a dragon, who wanted to be respected, who wanted to matter. The realm remembers him in different ways. The Greens who survived remember a heroic prince, brilliant warrior, dutiful son, victim of Rhaenyra's treacherous supporters who took his eye and then his life. The Blacks remember a war criminal, child killer, burner of innocence, kinslayer who got exactly what he deserved. The small folk remember the dragon's shadow passing overhead, remember villages burning, remember fleeing with nothing, remember the sapphire eye gleaming as judgment came from the sky. The Maesters write about him clinically, cataloging his victories and defeats, his strategies and failures, trying to understand how one person could be so capable and so destructive simultaneously. But none of them knew him, not really. They knew the legend, the kinslayer, the Prince Regent, the warrior. They didn't know the boy who cried when his dragon egg didn't hatch, who studied late into the night trying to prove his worth, who loved his sister Helena, who found comfort with Ulysses' rivers, who died at 20 with so much life unlived. History simplifies, makes heroes and villains, but people are neither just people, making choices, living with consequences, trying to survive in a world that's often cruel and rarely fair. The Daemon's legacy is complicated, because he was complicated. The deadliest Targaryen in history, the most skilled swordsman of his generation, the rider of Vhagar, Prince Regent at 19, dead at 20. What might he have become if things were different? If his egg had hatched? If he'd never lost his eye? If Lucerys hadn't been at Storm's End that day? If he'd refused Daemon's challenge? We'll never know. History doesn't offer second chances, doesn't show us the paths not taken. What we have is what happened. A boy transformed by pain. A warrior consumed by rage. A kinslayer who died fighting another kinslayer. A legend sleeping in dark water. The God's Eye is peaceful now. The wars are over. The dragons are gone. Grass grows over the battlefields. Rivers run clear again through the riverlands. Storm's End still stands against the sea. King's Landing rebuilt and thriving. Time heals, not completely. Never completely, but enough. Enough that fishermen can make their living on this lake without fear. Enough that children can play without wondering if dragons will come. Enough that the world moves on. But it remembers, always remembers. The songs continue. The histories are written and rewritten. Mothers tell their children about the Kinslayer Prince, about the price of vengeance, about how violence begets violence until everyone loses. And deep below the surface, where sunlight never reaches, the dragons sleep. Rhaegar and Caraxes still locked together. Aemond still strapped to his saddle. Daemon still beside them. All the rage and pride and pain gone quiet at last. The sapphire gleams in the darkness, beautiful and terrible. A reminder of what was lost, what was gained, what it cost. Some nights, when the moon is full and the water is still, you can almost see them reflected. Dragon shapes in the deep. The glint of that blue stone catching light that shouldn't reach so far down. But it's probably just imagination. Just the mind making stories from shadows. We want meaning, want significance, want to believe that sacrifice and suffering leave their mark on the world. Maybe they do. Maybe the God's Eye remembers. Maybe the weirwood trees hold those memories in their ancient wood. Maybe the echoes of that battle will resonate until the world itself ends. Or maybe it's simpler. Maybe it's just a lake. Just water over bones and metal and memories. Just nature reclaiming what was always hers. Either way, Aemond Targaryen rests there. Has rested there for centuries. Will rest there for centuries more. The boy who wanted a dragon. The prince who lost an eye. The warrior who never lost until he did. The kinslayer who paid the kinslayer's price. The legend who was once just a person, hurt and hurting, brilliant and broken, capable of so much and destroyed by so little. His story is a warning about vengeance, about pride, about letting pain transform you into something you never wanted to be, about the cycle of violence that only ends when everyone is gone. But it's also just a story about a boy, about choices, about consequences, about being human in a world that demands you be more and punishes you for being less. The sun rises over the God's Eye. Another day, another dawn. The world continues. Life goes on, as it always has, as it always will. And somewhere in the darkness below, Aemond One Eye sleeps. The deadliest Targaryen, the kinslayer, the Prince Regent, the boy who gained a dragon and lost everything. His story is over, has been over for centuries, but we still tell it, still remember, still try to understand what it means. Maybe it means that trauma shapes us but doesn't have to define us, that we always have choices, even when it feels like we don't, that the cycle of revenge only stops when someone chooses to stop it, that being strong and being cruel are not the same thing. Or maybe it just means that sometimes people make terrible choices and everyone suffers for it. That history is full of Aemons, people who could have been great but became terrible instead, who let their pain poison everything they touched. We can't change his story, can't give him back his eye, or his nephew, or his life, can't undo the damage he did, or the suffering he caused. But we can learn from it, can choose differently, can break cycles instead of continuing them, can be better than the legends that haunt us. The god's eye holds its secrets. The sapphire gleams in endless night, and the story of Aemond Targaryen, the deadliest Targaryen in history, comes to its end. Not with glory, not with redemption, just with silence, with dark water, with sleep that lasts forever. The boy who lost an eye, but gained a dragon, who paid for both with everything he had and everything he was. Rest now, Aemond One Eye. Your war is over. Your debts are paid. Your story is told. The dragons sleep. The water is still. And dawn breaks over a world that has forgotten your name 1,000 times and remembered it 1,000 more. Good night.